If you've ever driven the Newell Highway at night, you'll know the feeling. The endless road, the hum of the tyres, the bush pressing in on either side. Some call it boring, others call it terrifying, but everyone agrees. There's something about the Pilliga scrub. It's a place full of shadows, a place where headlights only pierce so far before the dark swallows everything else. Truckies swap yarns about strange lights in the trees. Old-timers will tell you about the Yowie and backpackers. Well, few reckon it's haunted. But the strangest, most unforgettable story of them all wasn't about a monster. It was about a woman, a hitchhiker, a lady in ball gowns and tiaras, the one they called the Pilliga Princess, the Pilliga and its mystique. The Pilliga's massive, more than 500,000 hectares of scrub. To the Gomeroi people, it's full of sacred stories and warnings. To drivers, it's a test of endurance. I've had blokes swear blind that their lights picked up something running alongside their truck, 2 metres tall, crashing through the scrub. Others reckon they've seen floating lanterns, glowing orbs moving through the trees. One truckie I spoke to said, "Mate, I pulled over for a quick kip, woke up, and I swear there were eyes staring at me from the tree line. Didn't hang around to find out what they belonged to." So you can imagine, when people started spotting a woman out there dressed up like she'd stepped off the stage at the Sydney Opera House, it only added to the mystery. Who was she? Her real name was Sharon Edwards. Later she went by Sharon Marshall. She grew up in the region. For a while her life was ordinary enough. Married, worked, all the usual bits. But life in the bush is hard. Money's tight, help is scarce, and mental health isn't always spoken about. Sharon slipped through the cracks, and by the late 80s people started noticing her on the highway. Not in trackies, not in dusty boots, but in gowns, sequins and tiaras. I remember one bloke telling me he nearly ran off the road the first time he saw her. Thought he was hallucinating. Who expects to see a bride walking through the Pilliga at 2 a.m? That's how the nickname started, the Pilliga Princess, and once it's stuck, she became a legend. Every truckie has a yarn. One fella told me he picked her up near Coonabarabran. She hopped in, all glitter and lace, and said, "Can you take me to the ball?" He laughed, thought she was joking, but she was dead serious. Another reckoned she was the best company he'd had in weeks. Talked his ear off all the way to Narrabri about a bloke she was meant to meet. Some prince or politician, depending on the night. A mate of mine swears she once flagged him down in a full-blown wedding dress, veil and all. He thought it was some kind of prank, but it wasn't. It was just Sharon doing Sharon. Now, not everyone was kind. Some drivers mocked her. Some idiots even chucked things out of their windows. But she didn't stop. She kept walking, kept waving, kept turning the dullest stretch of road into something you'd never forget. By the 2000s, Sharon wasn't just a woman anymore. She was a myth in her own right. Forums lit up with posts. Saw the princess last night, tiara shining under the high beams. Some truckies swore she was a ghost. No way a human could just appear like that, one wrote. Others tied her into the Yowie yarns, said maybe she was an omen. And of course, every town has a local character, someone who's a bit different, but somehow becomes part of the place. For Narrabri, for Coonabarabran, for the whole Pilliga, Sharon was that person. To outsiders, she was strange. To locals, she was just Sharon. But either way, she was unforgettable. Her passing. In 2019, word spread. The Pilliga Princess had died. Not out on the roadside, not in a ball gown, but quietly, in care. After years of hardship and poor health. She was only in her early 50s. For many, it was the first time they learned her real name, Sharon Marshall. But you could tell how much she meant to people by the way the news was shared. Truckies told their favourite stories, locals shared memories, even people who'd only seen her once felt the loss. Because whether you admired her or pitied her, whether you laughed or shook your head, you remembered her. She was part of the road, part of the Outback itself, and suddenly she wasn't there anymore. So why does she still matter? Maybe because she stood out. In a world where most of us just try to blend in, Sharon was defiantly herself. Maybe because she reminded us that the highway isn't just white lines and roadhouses. It's people, characters, lives brushing against each other in fleeting moments. Or maybe because, deep down, we saw ourselves in her. Life can be cruel. It can break you down. But Sharon kept walking, kept dressing up, kept thumbing rides with a smile. She met the world with glitter, sequins against the dark, and in that way she was braver than most of us. So next time you're on the Newell, especially if it's night and you're running through the Pilliga, keep an eye on the roadside. Not because she's still there, Sharon's gone now, but because her memory is every driver who passed her, every person who gave her a lift, every town that saw her walk by. She left a mark. The Pilliga Princess wasn't royalty. She didn't have a palace, but she had spirit, and for that, she'll always be remembered. Out here, legends aren't always monsters or ghosts. Sometimes they're people. And Sharon Edwards, the Pilliga Princess, was one of the greatest. So here's to her, to the tiaras, the gowns, the sparkle in the scrub. To a woman who turned a lonely road into a story we'll be telling for years. Travel safe, mates. And remember, in the Outback you never know who or what you might meet on the road.